what I will do is, I will run through this collaboration thing of how collaboration happens in nature, in how has it been transformed in industry. I'll give you some examples from the industry, and how I was fortunate to run it in my Indian Army when I was commanding troops in JNK. And that should give you a fair idea of how collaboration can happen and how it could maybe be of some help to us, right? Ground rule set, so you now know where are the what is the expectation setting.
Smarter to travel in groups.
Collaboration is, this was nature, how they depicted it in this way. In the army, the very fact that I'm standing in front of you after 25 years, I have collaborated with my buddy. Buddy used to look after my arc, I used to look after, we used to cover each other's ass, and that's how we were surviving. Unless you have a buddy, which I also translated in the women's safety thing, which I'll go into later. So let's see how we can also go in this art of leadership apart, because leadership, when you speak of leadership, it has got the gamut is huge. The various kinds of leadership, you all have heard of spiritual leadership and this leadership, and so I'll just touch upon distributed leadership, which is a new big thing. But how does leadership in collaboration happen? So let's see what is collaborative leadership. This, what I'm showing you, is in the east coast of England. This is the time, December, Jan, Feb. Every evening, 10,000 odd starlings come, and this is the dance they perform. Stopped it so that you could go to YouTube and check out murmuration of starlings, and this is what happens. Just a question for the audience: whom do you think was leading this orchestra? Any leader you saw, someone who's leading it? How does this happen? How does this happen? Anyone? It's a marvel, right? How could everyone move around in such a synchronized movement and sticking to the buddy, so knowing what is, so we have seen the flight of the geese. They talk of leadership, and remember those 8 lessons you all draw from flight of geese. We'll see what we come to with a small story. Can I tell you a story? Yeah. Story is good, right? What I'm showing you is gold, which a lot of ladies love, including my wife. Very sad. This is a company run by Robert McEwen. He was a financial investor working in Canada, in US. And by 40 he's disgusted, lost his hair. He said, let me go back to my country, Canada. And he sets up a company called Gold Corp. And he buys around 10,000 acres of land. Because of the land, the valuation of the company is around $10 million. And he hires a number of geologists to say, find me gold, find me gold. It's like finding needle in a haystack. 10,000 acres, the geologists couldn't do that. So what he does is, he is a brainchild. He says, he puts up a prize money of $50 million for anyone who can tell him where is gold. And he uploads all this geological data on the net. You could go and check out Gold Corp price challenge. There's a company from, number of people, $50 million, and then number of people applied, tried, and they couldn't get it. There was this Australian company which wins the prize and tells Rob McEwen, here is gold. This company, Australian company, is a 3D graphic designing company, nothing to do with geology. And they win the prize. Could ever you have thought that someone, a 3D company, would tell where the gold is? Gold Corp immediately, they found reserves of $3.5 billion in that gold. Evaluation $10 billion overnight. This is collaboration at its best. Who would have thought that you can just upload it and someone will come and tell you where gold is? And he would have never could have found that gold, ever. This is a new way of working, collaboration. In fact, n number of examples from the industry exist. Our own gentleman called Dinesh Goel has set up a company called Innovative Ideators. He operates from Ahmedabad. What does he do? He goes on the net, open source. He says, hello, do you have any ideas? Any ideas? He gets ideas on the net, makes a project report and sells those projects. The first project that he sold for 1.25 million rupees, and subsequently now his company fees just to access ideas. Could you have thought of this business model ever earlier? Open source में ideas ले, think of it. सिर्फ इंडियन हो सकता है जो ऐसा सोच सकता है. Open source में ideas लो, उसका एक खिचड़ी बनाओ, बेचो. Can you imagine? This is collaboration. This is collaboration. And of course, the very web that we have, which we are using, thanks to Berners-Lee, is all about collaboration. Had he not made it free, you and me would not have been connected to it. Right? And who else can, I think this gentleman resides in your pockets and purses, right? Because 88% of the market share is of Android phones today. Who owns Android, by the way? Google. A super answer. I was waiting for this answer. Did Google create Android? Who created Android? Think. IFCAI में पढ़ा था ये, आया था project. Right. 84 companies got together. Software, hardware, and telecom companies. They formed a consortium and they developed Android. Subsequently, Google bought it. Because if you remember that time BlackBerry was dominating, Nokia ka Symbian technology was out, they had nothing to compete with them, and they came up with this operating system. And today, he resides everywhere. Classic case of collaboration. You have to subsume your own interests to find a bigger good, and you'll find the answer. This is what happened with Android. And of course, these people, I'm sure each of you know the story of the famed Dabbawalas, right? All illiterates. Imagine FedEx comes and does a study there. Boss, how do you do it? We all are computer grads, we can't do this kind of error. We don't have Six Sigma. And here you are, all illiterates. How do you manage a Six Sigma transaction? They have just about one error in over 16 million transactions. Phenomenal. And there are no computers usually. All letterings and alphabets. Some of you have been to Bombay?
Yes.
Been to Bombay, then local trains, sir, you would have seen them with all the Dabbawalas. Amazing, phenomenal. And then one mission is garam khana pahunchana. That's a simple and this is classic. So what does it lead to? What is collaborative leadership therefore? What it means is it's a process to guide a diverse group of people, like it could be the software applicants or the hardware developers or anyone, diverse group of people to find solutions to complex problems. Simple, complex problem, and how do I find solutions to this? And therefore, as leaders, what you show is if we work together to solve the problem better. Otherwise, the problem doesn't get solved. BlackBerry would have ruled the roost and Apple would have been the best. But Apple's challenge has been only this Android which has come up. Right? How do you do that? Another classic example is from some of you have heard of this, Procter & Gamble, right? Today, Procter & Gamble has this Connect and Develop program, right? Where 35% of their problems get solved from within 3 weeks from outside the organization, not organic, no, outside the organization. Through outsourcing. They collaborate. When did this start happening? Lafarty was their CEO, PG Lafarty, AG Lafarty, right? He had a major problem. See, Lafarty has, their income is in billions. One of their $1 billion businesses, $1 billion, that's one of the verticals. $1 billion business was Pringles. Pringles used to be $1 billion generated, right? All of a sudden, somewhere in the early 2000s, 2001-2, sales started going southward, market share was headed southward, and Lafarty, naturally a $1 billion business, if it goes south, will be pained, troubled, sleep, नींद उड़ गई. So, boss, हो क्या रहा है? Why children stop eating Pringles? So they did a lot of research. They went to the malls. They said, where is it? All those things that you all have learned in your market study. They did all that, and then they came out that the child would go pick up a Pringle and drop it. लेते नहीं थे. It didn't go to the purchase cart. They said, why? They said, it is not attractive enough. So they came up with the idea, how can we make it more attractive? How can we make it more attractive? So they came up with Pringle prints. Now what is Pringle prints? Just to give you an idea, they said we will have cartoon characters on chips. So simple. Wow. And or something like this. Now when I say cartoon characters on chips, can you understand certain problems? One, when you print it on a chip, the chip breaks. So it has to be on a very high, where it is very hot, straight from the oven. And if the print is fudged, it won't attract a child. So it has to be sharp prints. So they needed 16 million PSIs injected. Now that injection had to be approved by FAA because food authorities, another problem, right? They had no idea what to do. How could they resolve this? Generally, any of these problems take around 2 years from the problem statement to when it comes out to the market. 2 years. They said 2 years, Pringle ka sale यहाँ हो जाएगा, मेरी नौकरी जाएगी. So he said, how best? And they went around the countryside looking for. Somewhere in Bologna, Italy, was a university professor who used to, as a hobby, make cupcakes with prints. They found this out. They collaborated with him, took his technology, paid him some money, tweaked that, and in 6 months they came out with Pringle prints. 2004 was a Pringle prints highest sales ever. Sir, sir, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And this was P&G, right? Procter & Gamble. So what he does is use supportive and inclusive methods which affects everybody. Address that problem, make them also part of this change process. Otherwise they'll feel offended. Usko bhi banao shamil. What if you remember Chopal did, E-Chopals did. Mandi walo ko wo bana liya, sanchalik bana liya tha. Some of you have done the project in E-Chopal, you will understand. ITC ka do this study for your own betterment, you will understand how E-Chopal was made successful. Because all those middlemen, he made them only sanchalik. So chor ko pakadne mein laga, so something like that. So it was successful. Similarly, here, make them part of the change process and they will help you find solutions. Now, if I say collaborative leadership, it stands on 3 pillars. And the 3 pillars are transparency, sharing and empowerment. How? What? Transparency. Right? When you say transparency, is all about openness. Your processes are open, everything is on the net, everything is transparent. They say sunlight is the best disinfectant. You know what gap rules came up, why Enron happened, all those things are all because there was no transparency. And most of you, if you are in the organizations, you will understand what I am saying about transparency. नहीं ये मत डालो नेट में, उनको पता चल जाएगा. Or words to that effect. Right? More you spread the word, that will be a better competition for your. So in fact, right? Transparency is about never hide things. Never hide things. Some of you, if you go on the net, go to a site called Chandigarh gov.in. There's a Chandigarh UT, Union Territory, which entire administration is on the net. And just check one of their land details. Unlike West Bengal, where one plot of land is sold to 10 people, here, the moment you go there, you will see for the last 200 years who owned the land, what is the status, whether the taxes have been paid, who owns it now. Entire land. You think this digitization can't happen across the country? It can. It can. Why is it not? We will not answer that question. Right. That is precisely where transparency comes in. Right. Because then Babuji ka power chala jayega to fir khairat badh jayega. Right. Anyway, so second part is about sharing. Sharing, the best example I can give of sharing is this way, man. The seats are right here in front.
I rather recommend this because we can't take to the
Sharing, when you share, the best example of sharing they speak of is IBM. Now let me share this small story of IBM. What happened with IBM? Microsoft took over the market. IBM had no idea what to do. IBM decided we'll come out of the PC market. And we don't want to be here and things like that because it's not happening. But they had, even today IBM is the #1 patent lodging company of the world. The largest number of patents registered are IBM's. They're one of the most innovative companies. Followed by 3M of course. So IBM what they did is, they said, ये 400 million worth of patents, क्या करें हम इसका? ये share करते हैं. So they found one guy called Lonowald, who set up a company called Linux. They gave it to him for free. 400 million worth of patents given to Linux for free. And once Linux came up, IBM killed Microsoft. It was not intended कि ये मेरे को मदद होगा. But once Linux came up, IBM survived on Linux as an open source operating system and which was in competition with. And they said this was one of the best examples of sharing. And subsequently what IBM did, because this is what the future says, establishing research centers in different locations where you will have offshore engineering. IBM nowadays runs where over 75 countries participate on something called Innovation Jam, where everyone participates to find solution to IBM problems. And they give prizes of course for that. Check out Innovation Jam on the net, maybe you all can contribute. And the last of the pillar being empowerment. This is sadly not quite happening in most of the organizations that we talk of. Empowerment basically means putting the tools in the frontline manager so that he can take decision. You want to try empowerment? Walk down to your Vodafone bill or Airtel bill, say this is a problem. Does he look back, sir, problem, or does he give you a solution? Instant, you will know whether that person is empowered or not. Instant, right? To give you an example of empowerment, in fact, if you see, the entire Arab Spring that happened is all about empowerment. One mobile phone, net connectivity, and Blue Spring happened. The entire Arab Spring happened. All about empowerment. 4 girls, 2 19-year-olds, 2 20-year-old girls. 4 of them sat in the center of Dhaka and toppled one government. Empowerment. They were called Agni Kanyas. When yesterday's paper said the Jamaat leader has been ordered to be hanged, thanks to them. Election aa raha tha, these 4 girls said, these people, Jamaat, will not stand for elections because in the war tribunal 71, they raped and murdered our mothers and sisters. We want a war tribunal to be set up. War tribunal was set up and they were hanged. Jamaat was not allowed to participate in a country. Empowerment. When 40,000 people, young people, get together at India Gate after the Nirbhay incident, empowerment has happened. We all were agitated and SMSs went around and 40,000 gathered in 40 minutes. Empowerment. This is kind of empowerment that we need for every social issue. Right. But besides the Arab Spring, this is another example of how empowerment happens. I told you I'll take the examples from the industry. So FedEx is one of the, if you see this ad, you'll understand the empowerment I'm talking of. This ad developed after a real incident that happened in FedEx. Another story? Another story? Right. FedEx. The mission is we deliver. FedEx delivers, right? That's the only thing they do, right? FedEx delivers. So what happened is, there was this mission which was going to North Pole. So the mission had moved down to Arctic, and from there, in the last minute they were about to go. When they were there, they realized they had forgotten to carry the satchel of medicine. दवाई लेना भूल गए. Said, yep, FedEx, they delivered. So they contacted FedEx. Our satchel, please have it delivered. FedEx man went to Canada, from there went to this village, this last post, and found that the mission had taken off. They were not there. If I'll stop the story here and ask you, if you were the FedEx man, what would you have done? Anyone? Yes, ma'am. Option, anything.
Take back, take consignment to the
Take वही है नहीं, जहाँ deliver करना था boss है नहीं. And what does the FedEx man do? He goes back to the town, hires a helicopter, goes behind that truck, delivers, and comes back. Because FedEx delivers. The moment the CEO heard this, the hiring cost of the entire helicopter was given as an instant bonus to that employee. We would have thought, sir, helicopter hire करूँ, मेरे तो तेल निकल जाएगा, मेरे पैसे काट लेंगे. Or words to that. No, I'm not going into. That employee took that decision to hire the helicopter. He didn't ring back headquarters. Sir, मैं क्या करूँ, यहाँ तो है नहीं. He goes back. तो वो तो पता चल जाता ना, मिशन निकल गया वहाँ से. वो मिशन निकल गया, वो पता चल गया. And he goes back, hires this helicopter, and to the CEO, when he in his next address says, he lived up to the mission of FedEx. FedEx delivers. To complete this mission statement, any action that you take, and therefore he was given that instant bonus. And they came up with this ad thereafter. FedEx delivers. कहीं पे हुई वजह FedEx delivers. Now you can understand where we are going at, what kind of employee empowerment we are talking about. यहाँ पे तो बस का टिकट को काउंटर साइन करना पड़ता है 3 जन में. सर सुपरवाइजर भी काउंटर साइन करेगा. उसका Xerox copy, Xerox को counter sign करो. Fortunately, the new government that has come has said Xerox copies you don't have to counter sign. Remember, this is an order that has been come. Yeah. Have some trust. Otherwise, हम वो लखनऊ के वो नवाबों की तरह हो जाएंगे. So basically, collaboration is all about transparency, sharing, and empowerment. These are the 3 factors behind which they work. There are other 3 assistants which is needed for these 3 things to work. Something called proactive communication, something called trust, which needs for these 3 things to work. You know, how do you build trust, and how are you proactive in your communication? To see a proactive communication, read the letter Stephen Elop wrote when he took over Nokia. He was a Microsoft employee. He came over and took over Nokia as CEO, and he wrote a letter which is called Burning Deck. Read that in your own time. Read that. It won't be fair on my part to show that entire letter. You'll understand what is the kind of communication you need in your teams as team leaders, as managers, as boss.
So just come again.
Stephen Elop's Burning Deck. Burning Deck. Where he tells, I need to cut off an arm, otherwise gangrene will set in, the entire body will burn. We are on a burning deck, either we jump to the ocean or we all die. Very strong statement, wonderful letter for a boss to write. You know, it's about honesty and proactive communication. Right. And therefore you will say, how does this happen? Here I will fall back on my army days to give you a small example of how collaboration happens or happened. More unpredictable the environment, greater are the chances for collaboration. Right. I was commanding in Jammu and Kashmir. Militancy was there, terrorism was there, terrorists used to come. There were over 20 odd government organizations there, IB, RAW, lot of government police, JNK police, a lot of people, including a lot of army units as well. How do we find success, or how do we collaborate for success? Therefore, I'll set the story somewhere in the northern section where I was commanding. The area, just to give you an idea, because see, some of you may not have been there, so it will be unfair on my part to assume that you will understand the area. I'll just give you the idea of this terrain. Behind this ridge line that you see is Pakistan. And this side is, of course, Indian territory. The dense foliage, broken terrain, mountainous, and river filled. Right. So you can understand the kind of visibility I'm talking about. From here there will be a steep depth. It just finishes there. That is the kind of terrain I'm talking of. Right. With huge boulders. So if someone is hiding behind this, the terrorist could be hiding behind this, I won't be able to see even at 5 meters. People बोलते हैं कैसे आ गया? नहीं दिखता है बॉस, जंगल के बीच में नहीं दिखता है. And no one wants to die. यार मार दे मेरे को. No. We are right. But then you will get an idea of the terrain, and then you will not be armchair journalist writing shit in papers. When you understand, if you have gone out there, and you can understand, even if I lob a grenade there, if he is hiding behind this boulder, it won't affect him. Right. You need raw courage to go up there and then shoot face to face, and he's shooting as well. Right. This was the area that we were commanding in. Right. What happened? One fine day, these were some of the terrorists, sorry ladies, right. The challenge I found was in this high school. Now I have 3 sisters, 2 of them have been teachers for over 30 years. My daughter that time was in 8th standard. When I came to this high school and we were driving past, I saw I had to screech to a halt because the children were crossing the road. I said, what's the problem? Let me find out. So I went down, interacted with the principal, and this is what I found about the school. This is a high school in the good year of the Lord 2005. Now some of you were there, most of you were there. Yeah.
So where is this?
In northern sector, somewhere in JNK. And 2005, India was shining, if you remember. Our markets were boom, everything was happening. And that is the time when you see a high school, this is the building there. Now think if your daughter is studying in this school, right? It shakes you. This was the second building, and if you noted the date, it was 4th of March, when the school had just closed. And the way army works, some of you may be aware of, I called my officers. I said, boss, beg, borrow, steal, I don't care. 10 दिन है तुम्हारे पास. तो रह गए 70 minute. इस 70 minute में कर दो जो करना है बात. 10 days, and what they did was, they got around, they changed the hulia of this school. They went around, this was the retaining walls which was following, we got that going, and a lot of things were happening, right? And this was the toilet of the girls. When I told you I had to screech to all the children were going across to meet their basic biological need. Something I'm proud that the present PM stood in Red Fort and mentioned this, which I had started somewhere in 2005. Shauchalaya. Seriously, it's an issue. What I did was construct one toilet. One in the sense, I had 6 schools in my jurisdiction of 22 square kilometers. There were 6 schools. I said, Shauchalaya banao. This was the conveniences for girls they made. If I tell you, now understand, you all are from the industry, you all have money for CSR activities. We don't have money for like that. But if money was here, paisa, ye nahi banta. At the moment I started building it, I promise, it cost me 800 rupees to build this building. I am not joking. 800 rupees. अब बोलेंगे सर 800 रुपये क्या सर? The bricks were all from the village. The villagers said सर ये ईंट ले लो. आर्मी को देके वैसे भी दे दिया हमने. जिन्होंने नहीं दिया हमने थोड़ा ले भी लिया. Right. The bricks were there. Cement. The syntax tank was an engineer officer in my unit. He said sir outdated हो जाएगा नहीं तो आप use कर लो. So they were. I got that. The only money I spent was for this lock and this latches and the toilet seat inside. Toilet seat you get for 75 rupees, eco-friendly toilet seat from Bangalore. I got 750 rupees से 10 वहाँ से मंगाए मैंने. Right. And the entire building, the carpenter made this, the local carpenter from the village, he made the doors. Entire thing cost me nix. Right? Believe me, when the school opened, अगर मैं वहाँ उस दिन MP के लिए खड़ा होता, मैं MP होता आज. I'm not joking. The parents were ready to touch my feet, like basic biological need. Toilet. And then I said, yeah, now that we are here, let us give them computers. What you see here is the solar panel that we installed. We said, light hogi nahi, India shining. So we got this computer rooms. And once the school children came back, this is the kind of things started happening. See, understand this, the moment I touched the schools, the basic, entire village parents were on my side. Automatically, because I'm looking after the children and they are the affected. And what happens is, how did they pay me back? For the first time in that sector, when Independence Day happened, August 2005, all the 6 schools came and participated to celebrate Independence Day. First time the Indian flag, national flag was flown there. Yet, what you will see is, this area that you can see a lot of vehicles. That was my mechanical transport platoon. That was the only flat area where, therefore you can see that empty space here. I'll bring that in correlation later. Correlated later to the. Now, once we touched the schools, we said it is a next step. What can we do? So we said, let us send them to a field trip. And we organized them going to Agra. There were 33 students, 23 boys and 11 girls, 34. Right? We sent them to Agra, we sent them to Delhi, we sent them to Jaipur, sab ghum ke. There were students here who touched the train for the first time and said, "Aisa hota hai train." Seriously, can you imagine this? 2005, India shining. When they went as students, they came back as tigers. And the belief in India, that India is happening. Otherwise, they had no idea what was India shining. And that is where we started doing the turnaround. Various outreach programs. We said, now we have captured the schools. Let us go out to the community. And what did we do? We started making roads. Now imagine in those mountains, I showed you some mountains. In the village on top, if there was a pregnant lady and she had to come down, you needed 4 people to carry that bed. It took around 4 hours to come down. Delivery to pata nahi kab hoga. So things were bad. So I said, let's make some roads. Now when I make a road, it improves my operational efficiency. If I get the information, I can react faster. I can react better. So it was also for my own reasons. But besides this outreach program, we had a lot of eye camps, medical camps, so and so. This was a masjid that Maulvi said, "Sab hamare liye masjid bana do." He said somewhere in September, by November, we got this masjid ready across the community. It was nothing to do with religion, because our religion was only one, India. That was the only religion we had. And what happened with this is, it gave me a number of the moment of truth. What you heard, Sal's with the airlines, where he says moments of truth happens. Jan. Sir, Jan. No, I'll get the name of this gentleman who propounded the theory of moments of truth. Right. Every time I meet a civilian, if I had met normally, the militants would kill him. क्योंकि ये खबरी है. Now when I'm doing such outreach programs, I had a lot of reasons to meet civilians, and now they couldn't kill them. Now they started becoming my informers. I used to get a call from Rajouri. Sir, कल इधर खबर आया. Teacher. Why? Because we impacted them. We touched everyone's lives. And things started happening. And how did they pay me back? The Republic Day that happened, 5 months later? This is the kind, again the school, and now you can see the empty ground that was there earlier, which was empty earlier, sparsely populated. They were crowded, all the villages. Everyone came down there. Across. And that was the time I realized we have done it. Because now the entire INT network is in place. Everyone will start giving me. These people started giving me calls, information. Sir, if people, my seniors wanted to know something, बोलते थे प्रवीण को फोन करते उसको पता जरूर होगा. And if I didn't know, I'll say, sir, 2 minutes दो मैं पता करता. And I would, students, children, they used to come and inform. Because we touched their lives positively. Not with the intent कि मेरे को कुछ मिलेगा. First, leader says give, right? Then you will receive. And we did that. And success from these intelligence provided by these villagers, there were n number of successes. There are 6 bodies here, I have covered their faces. A lot of terrorists we killed. These are the kind of weapons that we killed, and a lot of results of these efforts that happened. In fact, our actions were so lauded that my battalion was handpicked, cherry-picked to be with Rashtrapati Bhavan that time. Out of those 450 infantry battalions, only one battalion goes there for 3 years tenure. We were handpicked to be there in Rashtrapati Bhavan. I was fortunate to have served with late President APJ Abdul Kalam in Rashtrapati Bhavan, only for this. And this was the first day of our taking over the ceremonial duties at Rashtrapati Bhavan. 3 years. Amazing tenure that I had. And of course, we celebrated Christmas and all with this gentleman, one what we call as people's president. You should, every day evening he would walk. ठीक है? And then he'll walk. He'll walk across every century of mine he would speak. What am I? And of course, yours truly was awarded with Vishesh Seva Medal for the kind of work that we did. Of course, not only just making schools and toilets, we killed militants too. Right. For that I was awarded the Vishesh Seva Medal there. And that is the time I realized, if you are a leader and you need to collaborate, what will be your takeaway today? Today, after I finish, you all will go and say, nice. What is the takeaway that will go from here? The takeaway should be, first, as a leader, give. You can't think of, isme mera kya fayda hai? What's in it for me? This syndrome has ruined us. Will I get the credit? Ruined us. Give first. Betadak do, dil khol ke do. Bible says, give and you shall receive. Knock and it shall be opened. Matthew chapter 7 verse 7. Right. I'll give you a story, small story. 35 minutes. Ho gaya na? 15 hai. Right. I'll tell you a story, true story. I was interacting and I met this gentleman called Arun Lal. Some of you heard of Arun Lal? Right, that bearded gentleman. He says, Colonel, तुम सबकी story बोलते हो, मैं तुमको एक story बोलूँ. मैंने कहा सर बोलो. He says, मैं जब grow हो रहा था cricket में, I'm a batsman, I needed someone to bowl. And here most of you from Calcutta would understand, हर एक हमारे नुक्कड़ में एक धोबी होता है. तो धोबी का मेरे को बेटा मिल गया राजू. राजू को मैंने पकड़ लिया, मैंने कहा राजू बोल. तो राजू होल डे वुड बोल और मैं करता था बैटिंग. तो राजू बोल बैक बोलते करते करते I got selected in Bengal team. I went up, so and so forth. And I was then sponsoring Raju to study also. करते करते निकल गए. Subsequently I became Calcutta West Bengal captain. Raju came, sir मेरा admission करा दो college में. I said यार मेरा what है, I can get you admitted. And he gets him admitted in St. Xavier's College. Raju Xavier's. And he says thereafter I went to the Indian team and life went on. I don't know what happened to Raju. After 3-4 years, 5 years or 7 years, there was this knock on my door and I opened and there is this gentleman with tie standing there and laughing. Hello, who are you? Yes sir, Raju. Who Raju? You forget Raju's like in your life. He said, what Raju? Who Raju? Sir, aapka Raju? He says, yeah, but what is this? Well sir, you grew and what happened is from Xavier's I went to INCAS, Calcutta. From there, I worked hard and harder and harder. I was selected for Daimler Chrysler. I worked for Daimler Chrysler, Mercedes-Benz. And here is your. He gifts him with his Mercedes key, chavi of a Mercedes. He says, this was my first bonus I got. This is yours. He is standing there, I started crying. And Raju comes and presents you with his Mercedes. He says, you deserve it more than me. He says, I have never ever thought that जिसको मैंने Xavier's में भर्ती किया था for this कि मेरे को कभी Mercedes मिलेगा. Give. पता नहीं आजकल हम सब कहीं अपने दौड़ में कंजूस हो गए. We forget to give. Give first, and you will be surprised by the returns that you will get. Give. This will be the first takeaway as a leader. Give. And second will, of course, you have heard of the Seva Cafe. Some of you heard of the Seva Cafe. Ahmedabad, you go to Ahmedabad, there is this Seva Cafe. This is the photograph that you see here are the latest photographs. Last year I was teaching one college and the student says, sir, I worked there, I'll give you the latest photographs. He gave me this photograph, menu card and so on and so forth. What does Seva Cafe do? When it started in Ahmedabad, they said, here is the fair, खाना वाना लगा है. तुमको लगता है तुमने चाय पिया है 10 रुपए का तो 10 रुपए दे दो. तुमको लगता है 2 रुपए वर्थ है 2 रुपए दो. तुम तो सोचते हो बेकार था चाय, अब no payment, I won't pay. And you don't pay, you go. No one will ask you for money. You won't be presented a bill. Now, as Indians, each of you thinking here, thinking, कहीं भाई सेवा कैफे की तो भैंस पानी है because you don't pay anything for free और हमने तो मार्स में मिशन भेज दिया फ्री में because it worked on gravity, remember? Right. So everyone thought Seva Cafe will collapse. First year Seva Cafe made profit. Second year they made more profit. Third year they made more profit. They opened a branch in New York, Singapore, Australia. Now they have 7 branches across the globe, all working on the same principle.
In India only one.
Ahmedabad. एक काफी है.
All are making jobs.
But can you understand? We somewhere undermine ourselves, and there is something basically there is dichotomous in our behaviors, and therefore I said first is give, and second take ownership. You can't say ये आग तो रिटेल डिपार्टमेंट में लगी है सर, मैं तो फाइनेंस में हूँ, मेरे को कुछ नहीं होगा. बॉस, अगर रिटेल जला बुढ़ में तेरी भी आग लगेगी. सॉरी फॉर द लैंग्वेज. यू विल ऑल्सो बर्न. अंडरस्टैंड दिस. इफ देयर इज फायर हियर, द फायर विल स्प्रेड. यू बेटर बी पार्ट ऑफ द फायर फाइटिंग फोर्स. यू कांट से हाथ धो लो. नो, unless you feel for that company that way, you can't have ownership. Understand, if they grow, you are growing. Because this is a classic example of Kerala crabs. You know how they sell crabs in Kerala? They don't have a cover on top of the crabs. So all the crabs are there in the basket. None of them can escape. Because the moment a crab starts going up, 7 crabs pull it down. Ek nahi, 7. This has become our mentality today. And I always maintain this. Understand this. If you pull him down in this ladder, there is space only for one. Either he grabs on, you fall, or he falls, or both of you fall. Best is if you push him up. If he is grateful, he may pull you up. If he is not grateful, yet no problem. There is empty space now. You can grow. There is space there. Push people up. You will automatically grow up. Automatically. It's bound. It's the law of nature. We forget to take ownership, and therefore we say, I always wondered why somebody didn't do this, and we always keep looking for that somebody rather than thinking. And therefore I always remember that classic dialogue of Anil Kapoor in a movie called Mr. India. Anyone from my generation who saw this movie? Mr. India. Younger generation. Right, in the end, Anil Kapoor, they are all in this prison kind of thing, cage, and he says, that boy's name, he says, बोल दो इनको, कोई Mr. India नहीं आने वाला है, मैं ही Mr. India हूँ. You have to clean your own mess. We have to clean this country. You can't expect someone else to come and clean it. We have created a muck, we'll clean. Ownership, take ownership. Even in your organization, even in your company, even as a leader, wherever you are, take ownership. And the moment the day you start taking ownership, without wondering who will get the credit, believe me, credit will come. I promise, credit will come. I can guarantee that. I can see it happening. But we wait. Credit नहीं मिलने से मैं नहीं करूँगा. That doesn't happen that way. Right? A lot of things get done as long as you don't worry who gets the credit. Militant मारना है, don't wait. दूसरा मारेगा तब मैं. नहीं तो वो मेरे को मारेगा boss. Everyone की सबकी जान खतरे में. You understand that? I better kill him first. Right? Something like that. Do you have to? I don't wait who will get the credit because people ask me, sir आपने गोली मारी है. हमने 50 ने गोली मारी, पता नहीं किसकी गोली लगी है. We don't know. I am being very frank. You can't say मेरी गोली लगी नहीं लगी. But we know he is dead. Therefore I am alive. So work as one team. Take ownership. Even in your personal lives. We wait. ये teacher कराएगा बच्चे को ठीक. As a parent, your duty. I mean, there's a lot of. If I go into parents, I'll right. The last, second last, leadership is attitude. I won't go into attitude. You all know what attitude is. There's a boy who was working here, Sandeep, right? When I came in here, he was fixing up these things. And after long, I met a good, true professional. He said, sir, this resolution, blah, blah, blah. Some people were stapling this and they walked off. He said, hey, come here, finish this work. You don't find these kind of workers in West Bengal. I'm telling you. Our worker productivity is the lowest in the world, across the country. And here he was getting the task done. I thought he was an asset as a human resource. I went and told his GM here. I said, protect him. This is a dying species. in West Bengal. You don't find professionals. Somewhere, our attitude is not positive. First thing we say is, sir, ki hobe sir? You ask anyone, kemon acho? Ei to cholche. What? What cholche? Top of the world! How do you feel? I'm top of the world. The moment you say you're top of the world, you'll start feeling like you're on top of the world. Try this. And this is one question you are asked maximum number of times each day. How do you feel? Hey, to cholche. No, what cholche? What's wrong with your problem? Do you have any problem? Besides constipation? Nothing. Top of the world. The moment you say this, you'll see you'll have goosebumps. You'll see the chemicals running down your spine. You'll feel that positive energy. And you can never do wrong with that positivity. I'm top of the world. Nothing can go wrong. I'm here. And automatically you start feeling better. Attitude is, West Bengal is of course blessed. Somehow, I was saddened. I am not born and brought up here, right? Although I am a Bengali. But when I came back here, people said, how are you surviving there? There was so much of opportunity to speak to people. Otherwise, if I go to a market like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, they're all positive there. All right, things are happening. Most of you have been across the country. Things are happening there. Here, if it's not happening, let's get it started. Let me kick some ass. Let's get people moving. Right? Things are. No. Most of them are, the new model of the motorcycles are button start. We are still in that kickstart mode. Right? Bajaj scooter, hamara Bajaj. We need a kick in the wrong side to move. Attitude, change your attitude. Attitude makes the difference. Believe me. Take it from me. I was here in Siachen. I know each moment attitude made the difference. Otherwise, it's so easy to just let go and then hang from the ceiling. Attitude. And if one thing that will make or break you as a leader is the thing that would be attitude. As a leader, one thing is attitude. How do you react? The position, the problem is the same. जो इसको भी हो रहा है, इसको भी हो रहा है, same problem. But the way he reacts is how he reacts. That's the difference. Problem is the same. Your reaction is 90% of the attitude. How do you react? The mom, the classic example, the milk spills in the morning and then ma, and then of course you do all those things, right? Or ma, come on ma. Or how do you react? You can spoil her whole day by shouting at her, which is the easiest which you all do, because you can give it and she takes it. Or else just hug her once and say, right, see the difference. If you have elder brother or younger brothers, sisters, बोलना कभी पानी दे और ये बड़ी please पानी देना. You see the difference. You see the difference. How they react. You must have siblings to understand all these intricacies of relationship, right? Attitude. And last, जिसका नमक खाते हो उससे थोड़ा can't. This is unacceptable. जिस थाली में खा रहे हो उसमें तुम छेद नहीं कर सकते. You can't. This is the basic of a human being. And therefore, as a leader, if you have this goal, the acronym that I'll give you today as a leader is GOAL. G, give ownership, attitude, and loyalty. I can assure you, you'll have a better life as a leader, as a manager, as a collaborative leader. Because now you are only giving. Boss, pata yaar kaise help karu main? You'll see the difference. It'll take some time in changing. But believe me, in the last 1 hour or so that I've been standing in front of you, I've been looking into each one's eyes. I've made contact with everyone's eyes. I see the spark. I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating. I know that there is this change happening. Let this be a fire and let West Bengal burn with this change, with your positive attitude. One ripple, it will spread. You in your organization can start that fire. Shrey, there was a gentleman from Shrey. You can start it there. You can start it at Spencer. Let the fire burn. Let them see where it is coming from. Because you all are the future leaders of your organization. Collaborate, grow, and that would be my takeaway. Loyalty, as they say, is the state of quality. Instance of being loyal, faithful to your commitments, to your obligation. काम करना है, जवान दिया है, 10 बजे आऊँगा, 10:30 बजे पहुँचते हैं. A stretchable time. No, it is not. You are not respecting his time. You are not respecting. How do you expect back respect? He will not respect you. Understand? Respect everyone as a human being, and it will happen. It will happen. Right? So, goal, key takeaway. Each one of you sitting here, I know, is bound to succeed. That's the very reason why you have taken the form of a human being. After millions of crawly insects, now you are human beings. That in itself is you all are winners. A story, because sometime later, soon, you will have your grandchildren on your lap and they'll say, दादी दादी स्टोरी बोलो ना, कहानी बोलो ना, दादा दादा कहानी बोलो. तुम किसकी कहानी बताओगे? अपनी कहानी बताओगे या अपने दोस्त की कहानी बताओगे? और अगर अपनी कहानी बतानी है, it better be good, better be inspiring, better be motivating. Make your own story so that they can follow, look up to you. मेरे दादा पता है? That. Take this time, think over what I have said, and let's bring this change across this organization. Right? Can we count on you for this?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
We must. There is no other option. It is either we swim or we sink. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you all. I suppose I'm good in time. I kept roughly 5 minutes in the end for some question answer. I had planned it that way. I hope in case you have some questions, which generally they don't have, which I'm so glad, because that only proves that you all have understood everything. Or should you all have any questions, please you can shoot.